Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Quatervois Academy video, and in this video we're going to be looking at Celeste. Now before we actually kick this video off, I'd just like to say I'm almost to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, and that is thanks to you guys, every single one of you who has subscribed or watched through my content and sharing it. So thank you all, and I really appreciate that, and without further ado, let's get into the game. Now this video is a solo queue game I had with Celeste, and the enemy is like walking into our jungle trying to invade us along with a scout camp. So that was Gwen actually went to face check the bush and actually got chased really low. Varya actually popping his B ability and got a little too close to our turret and walking even back for probably a mistake on his part, but I was able to pick off the first blood. As simple as that. So after which I'm just clearing the lane, and there's actually a very simple way of clearing the lane as Celeste, and I'll walk you through that at a later clip. Whereas I'm actually just pushing out my lane as fast as possible before actually wanting to head down to my blue buff over here, where Koshka was of course taking. So I actually got ambient for this. I actually got ambient for this, and after clearing the two bear camps, I basically will almost hit my level 2, which is crucial on Celeste. So as I hit level 2 here, I will unlock my second ability on Celeste, which is a core collapse. So after heading over to my lane, I'm of course just going to clear through the minions once again. So the idea of clearing lane with Celeste is all you want to do is place your Heliogenesis, which is the first charge of your A, and hit as much minions as possible, and then following that, while it is on cooldown, you want to auto attack surrounding minions to where once you supernova that Heliogenesis, you will actually be able to take all the minion in one shot. Or of course just popping your Heliogenesis such that whenever it's off cooldown, because that does the maximum amount of damage to the minions. So as you can see, I'm just using my Heliogenesis and Supernova to actually secure the CS in lane, and of course push it out as fast as possible such that Jewel will miss the. So after backing here, I'm actually going to be picking up a boots along with energy battery and then the crystal bit, as well as with eclipse prism, such that I basically got more crystal power, energy regeneration, and of course the boots, which is basically anti-gank mechanism that I actually get on Celeste early. So after which I'm going to head back to lane, nothing special over here. Varya is actually going to stay around the mid for a while because he's supposed to be the mid laner. However, once Koshka came, I actually activated my boots along with my abilities. I was able to take Varya down for another kill, for the second kill of the game. So after which, I'll just push out my lane using the technique that I taught you guys earlier about using your supernovas basically and heliogenesis, hitting the minions at the back such that it will die to the supernova, as you can see, before actually rotating down to the bear camps here, which I'm basically taking because Celeste is a very level intensive hero and these bear camps give a lot of experience. In fact, if you would want a known fact, it's actually the most experienced single camp in the jungle, I guess. Yeah, so after which I will be, of course, heading back to lane, and Varya is actually taking over the lane from Jewel because basically I have no idea why Jewel was taking it in the first place when Varya is clearly the mid lane over here. So after clearing back the lane, I actually went to the gold treant because I want to maximize basically my gold per minute, and through rotating through the jungle like this, I am able to do so. So as I head back to lane, Jewel actually tried to taunt me and also do a rocket leap right on top of me, trying to gank me, as you can see here. In which I reacted simply by just continue chasing him, stunning and taking him down, as simple as that. So after which I'm just of course gonna repeat the same cycle, clear my lane, head over to the jungle, as Rona was taking the blue buff over here. Rona actually waited for me to start it, so I actually got this. Thank you, Rona. As I got the blue buff over here, I actually was heading down the river. However, seeing that Taka was chasing after me, I actually landed a stun right there. The reason why I used my stun earlier is because Taka's chitin can basically dodge out the stun if he's in range of me. So if you stun him before he get in range of you, then he cannot use the A ability to dodge it, and of course he won't predict that you'll stun so early. So that's the reason behind stunning so early with the core collapse and picking up the kill on him. As you can see, after the core collapse is pretty much dead, I tried to also snipe out this Varya over here, who was pretty smart in dodging and did not die to the Solar Storm. However, my Solar Storm did pass through the minion, which helped me push the lane even easier. As the shop is spawning about 5 seconds, I was able to just head down to the shop to basically get my items. Now, the rotation as a mid laner, basically you would want to maximize your gold per minute as well as your XP, because that basically grants you everything you need to basically carry your game. So as I head down to the jungle shop over here, the first item that I'll be picking up is the Dragon's Eye, along with some cooldown, and of course a battery, because that's always good. So actually I had the battery even earlier on, so that's my mistake. So I actually went back to lane. Ju wanted to stun Ju, he walked out of my stun. I cleared the lane over here, and Ju was still at lane, so I was able to basically land stars, and I was level 7 at this point of time, which was 3 levels above him, and I basically can do a lot of damage and harm to the whole of the enemy team if left unchecked. So as I cleared the lane over here, Ju was just sitting there charming me, doing his thing, as I back all the way back over to our raid jungle to basically suck the ambient for from Rona, from the gold toad over here. So this Rona is actually a very nice jungler, because he basically waits for me for ambient gold when he's taking the gold treant, and also just the blue or the XP camps, which are the 2 bear camps. So it was at this point over here where Vaya decided to use his B ability. I tried to predict where he was gonna go. I really mispredicted that one, so that was my bad. However, after clearing out the lane over here, I was able to land a few more stars onto Varya, and basically I was trying to catch him with my stuns and my supernovas. He was slightly out of range, but after I landed a second star and got my level 8, I decided to boots in to get a final heliogenesis on Varya to take him down. So that was just simple, I guess, knowing that the enemy flask is down, and there was his boots cooldown are down as well, as long as he doesn't have his dash, so it was pretty safe to do the gank over there. As Jewel tried to gank me, I was low, however I had my flask and did not have to worry much. So after taking the blue buff, I actually recalled the base, of course after bear camps, because I was low, of course. Now the second item that I'm going to be picking up as I head back home would be the Clockwork, because Clockwork basically allows Celeste to spam her heliogenesis and supernovas, and that's her main source of damage. So Clockwork is actually a really good item to get early on Celeste, as I get it right after my Dragon's Eye, and with this 2 item I've safely hit a power spike, along with growing from level 7 to level 8 with the increased range of my heliogenesis. I'm at the power spike and I'm really strong right now, as you can see. Almost 2 stars and Varya is completely dead. As I landed one more, he would have died. However, I placed a star and supernova that star, and it clipped Varya, of course, at the very edge of it, and Varya died while casting her ultimate. So heading over to the enemy bear camps to check if they were up before actually heading to the turret. And at this point of time, because of my rotation and CSing, I was level 9 while Taka was only level 6, and I was hurting him really hard. And it was at this moment he turned level 7, however I just continued chasing one, and then before turning onto the gold tree over here and taking it from him. So after which I actually saw Ringo camping in a bush, because I had a scout camp there and he did not notice, and Varya came onto me after throwing my Core Collapse to stun him and a heliogenesis. I altered because of the stun duration, and actually kept him basically on the same spot for that few seconds for me to basically hit a heliogenesis and an ultimate. So the reason why I used my Core Collapse right after his second charge of his B is because after his Varya uses 2 charges, he's most probably going to throw his spear, and because of that I can actually stun out that, and he's going to be standing still, so the stun is a free hit, and thus I actually Core Collapsed before using my heliogenesis. And at this point of time I hit it back to lane, and Taka was I basically killed Taka from over the wall. 1 heliogenesis Core Collapse combo and he's dead, followed by Scarf, of course, also that's the same idea. And on Varya I almost killed him if I had hit my ultimate, however I mispredicted. I predicted he was gonna walk as far away from me as possible instead of circling around the wall. So however I was, of course, going to pick him up with basically barraging him with my heliogenesis and using my boots for the final heliogenesis on him. I was low, of course. Taka came onto me. It was at this point where my flask was up, however I did not notice that Taka picked up a spell sword, so I was trying to save it till I was 1 HP. However, Taka's auto attack hurt so bad because he actually picked up a spell sword, which was of course not a normal thing to do. Of course I should have checked the item and know that he had a spell sword and popped my flask earlier, so that's what I should have done. So after dying over here, that's actually going to be one of the only deaths that I have this game. So I'm actually going to pick up a little bit of shielding along with Oak Heart, because basically early defense does really well. And I of course picked up a piercing shot, of course, because people will be starting to itemize shield against me, and I do not want to worry about that as I build into my Aegis, which is my next item over here. So I'm just heading through a jungle, farming as much gold as possible, because that's exactly what a mid laner is supposed to do. So as I head back over to this lane over here, I'll just clear out the lane before actually heading down to my blue jungle over here to see if I could pick up the blue buff. So at this point of time, I was already super ahead in terms of gold and levels, ahead of basically all of the enemy team and my team. So after picking up this blue and the XP camps over here, I actually headed to the shop where I had enough for a broken myth and of course almost an infusion. So I actually stopped by the healing camp, killed them, and basically got enough gold for crystal infusion, and of course brings me even closer to my level 12. So as I head back over to the lane over here, this is the point of time where I basically had all my the 3 core items of Celeste, and basically the 3 items that you ever need in terms of offense items, as I push down the lane here, trying to do damage to Scarf and Varya. I place stars on top of stars, trying to basically poke them down. So it was at this point of time I landed 2 Novas onto Scarf and forcing his Flask, landed a Core Collapse as Celeste was channeling his B ability, and of course throwing my ulti right onto Scarf and using my Supernova to pick up a triple kill. Taka flipped and I stunned wherever he was gonna flip, and there's a Quadra, and finally just a few stars and the pentakill. So yeah, that was pretty easy in terms of, because I was super ahead, and Taka basically there's a very easy prediction on the Taka Titan flip over there, which is because he's going to go from the front of you to the back of you. So all you have to do is estimate when he's going to do the Titan flip, and you can predict exactly where he's gonna land, because it's 180 degrees. Basically, if he's at your front, he's going to go to your back. If he's at your left, he's gonna go to your right. So after this, I just continued kiting back, and I basically stayed a little too long and took a little bit too much unnecessary damage, even though I could have been somewhere else farming. But it was just I think it's just the adrenaline from after picking up the pentakill. So after which I'm actually going to complete my Aegis over at the base and pick up a tier 2 armor. This basically makes me, at this point of time, invulnerable and unkillable by the enemy team, because I will have the crystal lifesteal from the crystal buff, along with 2 defense items, and basically all the damage I need to regen everything back, as well as melting the whole of the enemy team. So with this setup, I was basically unkillable, because of course I was super ahead at this point of time. So yeah, there was really nothing to fear as I just marched down the mid lane alone. Now, as Scarf was just using the minimap to walk, he did not see anything and didn't bother dodging, which was why I actually missed my stun. Kind of saved him. Like, it's at this moment also, he didn't look at all, and I think he was AFK to a certain extent, because he was just walking straight and he did not bother dodging or whatsoever. So after picking up the 2 kills over here, my team was basically poised to win. However, I wanted to complete my build because I was already so ahead and just wanted to have some fun. So as I head over to the blue buff over here, which will grant me crystal lifesteal, and that is basically my substitute for the Eve of Harvest, even though it's not as much. I did not want to waste a whole item slot on crystal lifesteal. Instead, itemizing defense makes me, in the same sense, increases my survivability, except now it is more, I guess, reliable, and as long as you position well, you don't really need your Eve of Harvest to give you that burst of regen. So as my team was basically playing around the enemy base, I was just soloing Ghostwing and playing around with this dragon over here. So Varya out was actually landing onto me and almost took me down, I guess, because I still had my Aegis and Flask, so I wasn't gonna die so early. So after taking the Ghostwing over here, I actually recalled to regen my health, because of course I was really low, and I knew that with the Ghostwing buff along with all these items, I was ready to 1v5 and try for a second pentakill, which obviously which won't happen because of how the enemy is basically pushed back all the way to their base, and all they have to do is run back into their fountain or sanctuary and they'll be safe. Now I actually headed to the shop to pick up my final item after completing basically my whole build except my tier 3 boots. I actually picked up my crystal infusion over here before just marching into the enemy base, because I had the ghost wing buff, I had a crystal buff, I had crystal infusion, and basically full build. So, and I was like 3 level ahead of the enemy team. So Vaya actually popped his reflex block in the afraid that I will stun him. So that was actually quite a bad prediction, because Taka just appeared out of nowhere at first. So after putting a few stars and just landing by supernovas, I was able to do a lot of damage. As Taka flipped over, I was able to put a star to finish him off, and then turning my attention onto the vein crystal, because the enemy team just wants to stay in their base at this point of time. So as I close out this game over here, I'd just like to add on that I just like to thank you guys for watching through all my videos, and of course supporting me in doing what I love and what I do. So yeah, this is the build for Celeste that I personally prefer in this patch. Although right now the meta build for Celeste is of course your Spellfire, followed by your Dragon's Eye or Clockwork, and then finishing up with a Broken Myth. So that's like the meta, and this is where I prefer to go, with just 3 damage items, and basically hitting my spike at an earlier point of time. And I do not have the mortal wound because I honestly do not need it in this I honestly feel like I don't need it. So after with this, because Dragon's Eye, Clockwork, and Broken Myth are such necessary items, I can't sub the Dragon's Eye out for Spellfire because I'll lose a lot of damage. I can't sub the Clockwork out for Spellfire because I won't have the cooldown to basically spam my abilities, and of course supernovaing my Heliogenesis at the moment that I place it down. And of course the Broken Myth, in which you 100% need on a crystal carry, because all the enemy have to do if you do not itemize for a Broken Myth is they'll just build the Aegis and you do no damage at all. So on a final note, I don't know if you would have noticed this, but in this video I actually maxed my A and B ability, and the reasoning for that is basically I prefer a longer stun duration and of course a lower cooldown stun. Like I do not feel like the maxing of ulti is necessary. Instead, taking the overdrive from my B grants me a longer stun duration, 0.5 seconds longer. Of course, grants me a shorter cooldown as well. So that allows me to basically put my stun first, because I have a Clockwork and Crystal Infusion. After putting my stun first, I will be able to put A ability and Supernova the A ability, because of how long the stun duration is. That would not be able to happen if you do not max your stun. So that's just something that you guys might have missed, and just a small detail that I'd just like to remind you guys. So all in all, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and learned a lot, or just simply for entertainment purposes. I try to make my videos as informative as possible. So this is Quatervois Academy episode 4, I think, and this is on Celeste, and I hope you guys enjoyed, and like and subscribe if you did. Get me to 1,000 subscribers, or I'll probably be there by the time this video is out. So thank you all for watching. See you guys next time.